Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you very much for watching my videos. I hope that they resonate with you and give you something to think about or to learn that helps you on your journey wherever you are, whether you're in a relationship or not, whether you're planning to have children or not, whether you've had children, where you are in your parenting journey. So anyway, thank you very much. And by the way, if anything I say doesn't resonate with you, feel free to take what serves and leave the rest, or you can completely disagree with me. That's okay. I'm a big believer that we're all here for our own journey in life, and it's a journey of self-mastery. And so as long as you're not causing any harm to anybody else, I think do what suits you and what works for you. And that's part of being human and figuring out what it is that works best for me. So I support you in even using me as a barometer of where you are on the spectrum around pregnancy and labour and birth and how you want to. You might find I say something that's gives you clarity on what you need, which is very different. So anyway, I love hearing from you. I hear from people from all walks of life. And this isn't just for pregnant women. If you're a father or a birth support person, I have men who are already thinking ahead without a partner of the kind of woman that they want to be with and the kind of father they would like to be in the future. I've literally had young men as young as sort of 17, 18 write to me and express their desire to the kind of father that they want to be and the kind of woman they want to attract. And how to find that. I mean, I'm not a matchmaker, obviously, and I can't help them on that. But like I just love it, and I really get inspired by how many men these days are really doing sort of a lot of their deep inner work and thinking ahead about how the kind of woman they would like to be with as the mother of their children. So thank you for everybody who writes to me, and you can always comment below as well. You can write to me through my website, which there's a link as well. So today I thought I would do, I was having a conversation last night with a friend, and he's a very devoted father. He's very involved in his children's lives, and is a very fun, adventurous kind of person. And so we have some very riveting, deep and intellectual conversations about a lot of variety of topics. But we got onto the topic of nature versus nurture. And I thought that would be an interesting thing to discuss because it's very much in line with the way I parent. So I'm very much a like I was saying, that I believe that my children are here to live their own lives, and I'm only here to support them in finding out what their truth is and their expression of their essence. I don't like to say we're all here for a purpose, but I do think that we're all here to find out what it is that we want to express in the world, how we want to show up, what our gift is, without necessarily putting on the burden of you have to find your gift, you have to find your purpose, but just like who am I? How do I show up? What's a natural expression of myself? So that's how I raise my children. I give them a lot of autonomy. I give them a lot of freedom. I support them in figuring out what works for them. So I also unschool my youngest too. For anyone who's not familiar with that term, unschooling falls under the umbrella of homeschooling, but it's not following a curriculum. It's very much let the child, let life teach them just the way that we learn as adults. I don't know many people, well, I mean, there are lots of people, but certainly the people that I love and adore, and my friends and my close circles, we never stop learning. We love to learn, but it's very self-motivated learning. It's following our own interests. There's no one prescribing what we should learn. We follow our own passions and our own desires and our own interests, and those change, even as an adult, each few years or decade, or my own interests about what I want to explore has certainly changed. So it's very much the same philosophy for children, like letting them follow their own interests in their own way and in their own time, not even prescribing sort of any age expectations around when they should read or when they should learn maths, just trusting that if they have a passion for something and there's a skill set involved that they would need to follow their passion, that they will then have the self-motivation to also learn the skills that they need around that. So it's very much about living life from intrinsic motivation rather than extrinsic motivation. So that's I think that brings out the best in someone. So anyway, we got around to the discussion of nature versus nurture, which is an age-long debate. I think that probably as long as humans have been around, and certainly thinking about what is human nature, who am I, why am I here, what are the influences on life, both internally and externally, that people have been, philosophers and religion and scientists have been looking at nature versus nurture. So I thought I would just share some of my thoughts around that. So basically, I use the other reference that we have a modern day understanding of, which is that, and this ties into Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Most people are familiar with that. If you don't know what that is, just Google Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the basic premise is that once our basic needs are met around food, water, clothing, shelter, rest, safety, stability, once those needs are met, that our happiness levels don't radically increase with a lot more income or money. So as long as you're getting your basic needs met, that you live somewhere where it's safe, where you feel stable, where you feel that so a country where not a war-torn country, obviously, and somewhere where you have ample access to proper food and nutrition, and your basic needs are met, and you have enough income to cover those in a stable way, that earning a lot more money or receiving a lot more money doesn't then increase your happiness levels greatly. It does. I mean, having more money is better than having less money, and I'm not someone, I believe in abundance, definitely, and I believe that we should have a generous amount of money, but we're talking about inner happiness here. So I just want to differentiate the difference between having a lot of money can give you more fun experiences, can give you more like travel and adventure, or going places and doing things, but that's a very relative happiness, because that comes back to personal preference. So some people would want to explore, for instance, skiing. Skiing's not necessarily a cheap sport. That's an expensive sport. So for someone who loves skiing, having the money to do that is very important and would add to their happiness. But for somebody else, going down to, driving an hour into the country and going fishing and at a very quiet river doesn't require as much money and brings them more happiness. So we're not talking about those levels of happiness. We're talking about your inner happiness, like who you are, money, no money, experiences, no experiences, just your basic, sort of your baseline happiness as for who you are as a person. That inner happiness doesn't change a lot once your basic needs are met. And so it's the same with the nature versus nurture discussion or dialogue. Once a child's basic needs are met, they're in a safe environment where they're receiving an adequate amount of love, affection, attention, their needs around shelter, clothing, nutritious food is met, and they have stability. Up until that point, anything that's really dysfunctional then nurture is definitely going to dominate. So there's a really good book called Childhood Disrupted by Donna Nakazawa. I hope I said that right. And I'll put the link below. And in this book, she discusses how really traumatic or very dysfunctional, abusive, traumatic childhood experiences can and not don't just affect a child or an adult psychologically and give them mental and emotional issues, but it can also create a lot of disease in their body. So a lot of things that we see as appearing in adulthood, whether it's cancer, diabetes, heart disease, like a lot of things can be correlated to having a very traumatic upbringing, a very dysfunctional upbringing. So we know now that the nurture, sorry, I'm getting those two mixed up. The nurture is very, very important to how healthy mentally, emotionally, and physically an adult's going to be. But once you get to the point where we're sort of getting at the basic minimum needs that a child needs to be a functional, healthy adult. So, assuming that on that level, they're getting their basic needs met. After that, nature takes over. So if we assumed that every child was getting a pretty good basic upbringing, parents make mistakes and life happens and there's challenges. We're not saying it's without challenges and sadness and experiences, but assuming that they're not having a very dysfunctional childhood, then nature is very much predominant. I've got to come up with different words than nature and nurture, they're too similar. So then the child's nature, their personality, their DNA makeup, if you're into astrology, their astrology signs, their preferences, their likes, even their physiology. Having 4 children, I can tell you that all of them could come down with the same flu and they're all going to respond very differently according to their body type. So, some sort of will linger. One of my children will sort of linger and be sick. When she was younger, she'd be sick for 2 weeks with the flu. She wouldn't get it really, really badly, but she would just sort of be very unwell and lie around and sort of be under the weather for 2 weeks and then eventually get over it. Whereas another child was very much, she would get it and it would be full blown. She would have be raging temperature and she'd be really clingy and I wouldn't be able to leave her side for 48 hours and I'd have to sit on the couch and watch videos with her and she'd be sooky and complaining and I think she was going to die. But in 48 hours she would have burned through it and she was over it. So we all have different constitutions, we all have different propensities towards different diseases, and the way our body handles viruses and different things. So one of my children is allergic to wheat, so she's gluten-free. So even those kind of things definitely is then very much part of the child's nature. So there's all these things that create who we are in our own expression, including our physiology. And so once a child's basic needs are met, definitely then where they go in life and what happens is very much their own personal nature. So I just thought I'd share that. If it helps, I think that parents these days are inundated with so much information, and we're beautifully much more conscious of ourselves and our parenting and the effects that it can have on our children than, say, previous generations were, who didn't give a lot of thought to those things. But I also think that sometimes we can get too bogged down in thinking, oh my goodness, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? Am I teaching them, am I teaching them the right things that they need in life? And I'm like, it really is pretty simple. You just, as long as you're making sure that their basic needs are met, and loving them and supporting them, and you're not like screaming at them every day. It's, and that they feel that there's more love and support and encouragement, whether you live in a massive house, or whether you live in a very humble home, and whether you have a lot of money and whether you don't have a lot of money. But if you're all safe and fed and happy and healthy together, that's enough. After that, their own nature is going to take them forward in life and to build upon the foundation that you've given them. So I just thought I would share a beautiful discussion I was having with my friend last night, and hopefully there's something there that serves you and helps you. If you liked the video, please subscribe. Please like and or subscribe. And yeah, feel free to write to me anytime you like. And I really enjoy having these discussions with you. Thanks. Bye.